So welcome to the first ever. This is the first ever, right? This is breaking news.
Cool,
You don't even know what we're going to do, right?
What's going on.
The cameraman doesn't even know what's going on here. This is the first ever episode of Beers with Bruce. Ka-ching. Yeah, so this is what we're doing here. So we are down here at UFC London with me, Believe in Bruce, but it's all about Paul and Paul's pod, okay? We're going to be talking about MMA. Paul is going to drive. Come in, sir. If you look, hey, cameraman, there is more beers for Bruce, right? There is more beers for Bruce. Yeah. Thank you very much.
That was immaculate.
Just keep it going, brother. Keep it going. This is how raw this footage is, all right? It's been done live on site. Cheers. Always got to cheers, mate. Always got to cheers. Always got to cheers. There you go. Don't leave us hanging. But hey, here we go. So, what we're going to be talking about, all right, is Paul's love for MMA, and you as the viewer as well. I want you to think about, what is it about MMA that you love? What inspires you? What motivates you? What triggers you? What makes you get up, at 3 o'clock in the morning to watch some godforsaken show in Las Vegas with bags under your eyes and stuff like that? There's got to be something that gives you a twinge of somewhat to get you out of bed in that more. So I'm going to be asking Paul some questions here, all right? And it may result in, 12 beers later on, we may turn this to, I don't know, Port with Paul. There could be that. That was the only booze I could think of that rang with Paul.
Port's not really the greatest.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, pints with Paul. Beers with Bruce, pints with Paul. Yeah. So as the show continues, we increase the volume from bottles to pints. Yeah, beers with Bruce. So Paul, this is my microphone, by the way. All right.
It's my microphone.
Right. Now you've got to keep it succinct, yeah, so you don't bore the viewers. All right.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
But if you had to sum up in one sentence what it is, sorry, I should be holding this here, right? Yeah. What it is that inspires you, connects you, or just grabs you with MMA, what is it, brother?
It's the brutality.
Yeah.
It's the brutality. It's the pure sheer violence of it's violence, but it's beautiful. It's like a beautiful violence.
Yeah.
It's a sport that is no other. I'm not really the biggest boxing fan. I can appreciate boxing for how great it is, but MMA, there's just something different about it. From the minute I watched my first fight, from the minute I got hooked on Conor McGregor, my life changed. I was like, holy fucking shit, what is this? Do you know what? Even though it was McGregor that got me into it, the fight that got me into it was Chris Weidman against Luke Rockhold. It was the co-main event to McGregor-Aldo. And obviously watching boxing, there's nothing like it at all with the stoppages and the timeouts and that sort of stuff. And I just remember the second round, Luke Rockhold absolutely pieced Chris Weidman up, ground and pound, elbows pissing out blood. And I was just watching, I was like, how the fuck has this fight not got stopped?
Yeah.
And the fight went to the third round, and I was just like, right, whatever this is, I'm in.
And that was it?
That was it. I was sold from that day.
Cool, man. So it's, yeah, I get that. It's a bit when, someone drops the first pill or something like that.
Yeah, kind of, something like that.
If they like it, they like it.
Or 2CB.
Yeah, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. So you talked about beautiful violence. I'm interviewing myself here whilst having a drink, yeah? Cheers. What is, in all the fights that you've watched, yeah, use your phraseology, the most beautiful, yeah, bit of violence that you've ever seen?
Oh, I think the Rory McDonald Robbie Lawler fight.
Unreal.
Unbelievable. That is one of the greatest fights in UFC history, without a doubt.
Why is that? I want you to dive into the details here, right? Instead of going sort of overview, what was really going on in the fight, the specifics that turned you on.
Do you know what I think it is? I honestly believe the fight game is, obviously talent and skill is what is going to fucking get you to the top chain, but I truly believe it's the true determination, the fire inside you, the fuck that I'm not going to give up, and the beating that these guys gave each other, to any normal person, fucking be in hospital for fucking weeks.
Do you think you are a normal person?
No, not one bit. I'm a fucking weird, crazy motherfucker.
But a lot of people, when they see the fight game, they get inspired because they want to be like that.
Yeah.
That's what the appeal
For
is.
sure.
They tell themselves, I'm a mean motherfucker, and I want to be like those guys. So is there a bit of that you want to be as, I'm not saying you're not hard, but as hard as them?
Oh.
Because that's levels, mate.
For sure. I mean, to be inspired by those guys, I mean, I can never be on that level in terms of, the skill set or it's just the set of bollocks that these guys have.
Yeah.
But if I can get an inch close to whatever they do, I feel like I fucking accomplished something because like I've never met a breed of people like fighters. Like until you're around fighters, until you experience gyms, and until you get to know and understand what a fighter is and what they're like, then you have a newfound respect for them. Because it's what these guys do. They literally sacrifice their health, and they basically base their entire wage, their entire family's livelihood on these two fuckers, or their legs, or whatever it is. And it's just bonkers to think that like that is the path that a lot of people go down. It's true modern day gladiators, true modern day Vikings. It's these types of people that are fighters now would have been the guys that would have been fighting for land fucking 400 years ago, would have been in these wars, and it's just mesmerising.
And what is it that you think? Excuse me, just so before we got to say thank you to the show sponsors today, Corona, the best beer in the Northern Hemisphere. So, what is it that you think? What is the ingredients? What is the stimuli? What is the conditioning? Like, name 2 or 3 things, and I'm being specific here, so we don't keep going on. Yeah.
Right, okay.
What makes a fighter?
Heart.
What do you mean by heart?
How much does someone want it? I think that's what it comes down to. How much do you want to think, oh, do you know what, there's no chance, no matter what the fuck's going to happen, no matter if I'm going in a stretcher, there's no way I'm going to let this man get the better of me. Just that pride. I think it's the pride. I think...
But if you went out in a stretcher, surely that would mean he's got the better of you.
Well, no, because he could get put on a stretcher first.
Right, okay. So it's who gets put on the stretcher first. Loses.
Yeah.
We've got some new rules for the UFC, alright? Whoever gets put on the first on the stretcher loses, even if we both go out at the same time. We've got it.
Well, what do you think?
Resilience, determination, and the ability to tweak your mind at the very time you want to quit.
Switch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not about being tough.
No.
As in, tough's in there.
Yeah.
But it's what we're talking about is the definition of critical moments and the definition of critical moment control. That's what we're really looking at, yeah? Because everybody's got a quit point. You've got a quit point, you've got a quit point, I've got a quit point, yeah? Everybody will quit, it's just when, yeah?
What's that breaking point?
Yeah, and that breaking point can differ, it can be variable, it can be, there's different examples of it, it can come in different forms. But my point is, in any given situation, something can occur, and if enough of it occurs at the right time in the wrong place for you, you will quit, all right? So this rhetoric about I will quit, bollocks, everybody quits. It's just, can you extend that quit point? So instead of quitting here, you have control of your mind, because that's all it is. You have control of your mind to quit there. That's really what I think makes...
Separates.
The levels, the levels in relation to that determination, in relation to that motivation, in relation to have the control of the resilience, the fortitude, the mental fortitude to be able to go forward, because numerous times through a fight, if it's not going the fighter's way, in any sport, in fact, in life, you'll understand this as the viewer, right? It's Believe in Bruce, live and direct, beers with Bruce, pints with Paul, all right? Paul's pod, that's what we're here for. Is that we all have a certain narrative at a certain time who think, you know what, I don't want it anymore. Whatever it is, it doesn't have to be fighting. It doesn't have to be fighting. But in that moment, if you can flick that switch, if you can recognise that thought, if you can play a different narrative, if you go from negative to positive, you go from east to west, south to north, and you can change that switch, is that it hasn't that you felt it, but you've controlled it, that's the key. And I do believe where you get elite level fighters, they've been through these positions of I want to quit. They'll have felt it like me and you, alright? They'll have felt it like me and you, but they've had something inside them that's allowed their narrative to say, no, I'm not stopping. I'm not stopping. I might feel down, I might feel like this.
And that would come from life experiences, I can imagine. And then also, do you know what else? It's when there's something that's like above you. So when you look at someone like Khabib, it's the religion. So for him, it's not so much like he's doing it for a higher power.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
His ego and everything is completely out of it. Yeah. Because he's fighting for something that's bigger than what he is.
Yeah. And why do you think Khabib? What is it within Khabib that gives him that motivation? Like, what does he think about?
It's a hard question. I don't know Khabib.
Have you had to assume?
If I had to assume.
Which you do, because we don't know Khabib.
Right, so I'm assuming what makes him like that.
No, what makes him like that? Like, what's the one driving force? Because I think I know what it is. Makes Khabib is his belief
Yeah, but it's belief in himself or a belief in God. Both.
God.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
God.
yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
God.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a high. It's fighting is above him.
Yeah.
He's doing it for a purpose that's bigger than
Yeah.
him. It's bigger than humans. He's so religious that he's almost walking with God in his eyes. So he almost feels like he's invincible.
Correct. So it's because he believes that there's a lot of that. So what you believe, generally, if it's positive, it has a positive effect. Yeah. Even when you're in the ditch, I can get out of here. You're more likely to get out of here if you think you can. If you think you can or you can't, you're probably right. Yeah. So belief is everything. And again, for the viewers at home, if you need to believe, yeah, and if you've got, a couple of £100, you might want to get in contact with Believe in Bruce, all right? But Khabib believes there is a higher power. When we talk about placebo effect, all right, sorry, I've got my microphone back, yeah? Talk about placebo effect. You take some creatine, you take some protein, you take some pre-workout, whatever it is, all right? Chemically, molecular level. It doesn't matter if it actually does something. It doesn't matter if it connects the bloodstream, right?
As long as you believe
if you
it does.
believe it does, it does. Yeah, placebo is just as good in certain circumstances as something working. You go into the gym. What's your maximum bench press? 17 kilograms.
Probably, maybe 10.
Yeah.
I don't really use weights.
But-
That's not a good question for me.
But my point is this, right? You go in and you do something, you do some training, and you have got, or let's just say, and you've maxed your bench press. And I'm like, come on, Paul, come on, you lazy mother, yeah? And you're like, Bruce, I can't. I'm like, believe in Bruce. And you're like, oh, I can't, I'm believing, but it's not working, right? And I guarantee if that moment, 3 attractive women who you found attractive, maybe it's your age, a bit younger, maybe it's a bit older, who knows, yeah, you might like a cougar, yeah? Who comes in and goes on the bench press next to you in Lycra, in Gymshark gear. Other sporting brands are available, by the way, yeah? But some type of Lycra gear, and then looking at you, I guarantee you'll get another 3 or 4 reps.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think for me personally, like, I think, and I feel I speak for a lot of other people, I don't get pushed. Like, say if I'm doing a gym workout by myself, I won't push myself nowhere near as hard as if I'm in a class
For sure.
and you're around other people, because
Yeah.
it's just like that. But then, but isn't that where the ego comes in a little bit as well? Because it's like, oh, well, I'm not going to let myself fucking drop.
But we should leverage that. We shouldn't say that as an embarrassment. As,
Yeah.
oh yeah, just my ego. Brilliant. If that's what it takes for you to do that,
Yeah.
surround yourself with that environment and do it.
But do you think fighters can perform at the highest level so say if they just believe in a coach more than they believe in themselves? Say if they rely on the coach
I would
more.
say it's a thing called idiosyncratic, which means it's individual. It's very specific to the individual, yeah. And that individual's beliefs can change at any given time as well. So I don't think it's to do with the fighter. I don't think it's to do with the coach. I think it's to do with a whole host of variables that you can control some of them, but you can't control all of them. And you've got to accept that, and you've got to lean into that, because that's where high performance exists. When you realise that you can't control everything, okay, what can I control? Yeah, that creates some type of resilience. It creates some concrete belief. It creates that sort of mental fortitude I spoke about before. That probably allows you to be the best you. We're talking to Eric Nixon. Yeah, you're going to interview him later on or tomorrow, whatever. When you're looking at, if you want to be in the fight, you will be in the fight.
Yeah.
The moment you say to yourself, I can't be bothered, different hormones are produced.
Sure.
You see when I do my body language stuff, you see the body language change. You see how they defend themselves change. You see like the effort they put into the punches. Everything changes in an instant. That's because of this. It's not because of that. It's because you said, I don't want to be here anymore.
Do you think when that happens, so say a fighter has had a fucking awful second round, he switched off the second round, and I thought, do you know what, I can't get through, but he gets through the second round, and then you sit down on the corner, and the corner's fucking screaming at you, and you get a new burst of life.
Potentially, if screaming works for you in that particular moment.
But again, individually.
Of course it is.
Yeah,
Mate, 100% that's what it is. Now, you might get a fighter, like there's a guy from London, you might know, Nathaniel Woods trainer, he slaps people.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if that works or he just does it because he likes the attention. I
Could be
just
a
don't know.
combination.
Maybe,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely might be. Or he might just do it to play the character. Who fucking knows, who cares, right?
Yeah.
But my point is this, is that does this fighter respond well to that slap? One would hope so, or does he just go along with it? But let's just say he responds well to the slap. Yeah? If you go to another fighter he doesn't respond well, it might knock his coach out. Yeah. So what I'm saying is the rule of thumb is that there is no rule of thumb for everybody. You've got to find out what makes you tick. So when I talk about the stuff on my channel, I help people experiment, explore, be curious with their individual zone of optimum function, their sweet spot. So what makes you tick might not make me tick. And as trainers and coaches, you've got to be very aware of that. You have to be, it's almost like saying, well, it worked for Bob, so it should work for Ryan. Bollocks. Yeah. It didn't work like that. One thing might work for it. One thing might, but not all of it. And that's what you've got to be mindful of. You've got to be, okay, I'll ask you the question. When was the last time you wrote down what makes you tick?
Couldn't even tell you, I just don't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
But I feel like though, maybe it's not as productive, but you kind of know it yourself though. Without
You don't know it enough.
Do you not?
No, of course you don't. Of course you don't. You know when you fuck something up, how long will you think about it? How long will you ruminate over it? How much will you kick your ass? You should spend the same amount of time when you do something well.
Reflect back.
Yeah, why did I do
See,
it well?
I feel like sometimes though that can be a bit of an ego trip because you could just get, well, for me at least, I feel like if I reflect too much on how well I'm doing, then I could just get lost and I could think, chicken burger.
Chicken burger, one here, one there, thank you.
okay.
And the carbonara, this is how live it is, alright?
Thank you.
Yeah, go for it.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Will you guys stop permission?
Thank you very much.
For our
Beautiful.
channels. Pause, Pod and Believe in Bruce, give it a watch.
I forgot what the last point was, but I guess that's a wrap.
Yo, ego.
Oh yeah,
It's not a wrap, keep going.
Well, so
See, you wanted to quit there, I'm just drinking.
right, I was
Thank you
thinking.
very much.
So you were saying that it's good. The same amount of time you reflect on the bad things, you should spend on good things. But I feel like it's a bit dangerous for me, at least personally. I'm constantly reflecting on all the good things I'm doing, and it's just like, oh well.
No,
I don't want to give myself too
Stop.
much of a pat on the
No,
back.
it's not about all the good things you're doing. See, you misheard me.
All right.
What I said was,
This smells lovely, by the way.
why did you achieve, like, how did you, like, for example, if you go to a boxing fight, yeah, it's not about, oh, I won the boxing fight, great. That's not the question. That's probably ego leading the question there, yeah, which you honest enough to reflect about, this is why it's dangerous for you, yeah. The question is, what did I do well in that boxing fight that won? There's no ego there.
Yeah.
It's a reflective
So it's like
exercise.
an analysis.
No.
Yeah.
Like, why did I win? What did I do in my preparation? What was my mindset? What was my thoughts? What was my plan? What was my routine? How did I approach my sparring? How did I approach the bout? And the changing room, what was going on? In my walkout, what was doing? What was my relationship with my coach like? Because if you bake a cookie and the cookie comes out well, why wouldn't you want to bake the fucker again?
And you
In
wanna
the same
write-
way.
You want to write down the fucking method. that you
That's
did
right,
to get
absolutely,
there.
yeah.
I never even thought of it like that, to be honest.
You've got to, man.
Learning philosophy with Believe in Bruce.
So, if you like this episode, subscribe to Paul's Pod. Tell him what you want to discuss over the next episode of either Pints with Paul or Beers with Bruce. Cha-ching.
Continue.